My name's Joanne Clarke Gordon. I live in Manchester. I work for an international law firm here. I work as a revenue controller, so I manage the revenue for the law firm, which basically means that I analyse data. I work out how to make a particular practice in the law firm profitable. I do a lot of financial hygiene, sort of writing off bad WIP, for example, making sure we're billing effectively and productively, proactively, educating people on how to be financially hygienic. So financial hygiene is like you have as a lawyer, you are supposed to record your time diligently. So if you have a call from a client, you pick up the phone, you start calling, you start charging from the moment you pick up that phone. You send an email to a client, you're charging for that, email or a letter or document or whatever it is that you're doing. And sometimes you might do something that's not chargeable. You might just do something and decide, actually, I'm not going to charge the client for that 20 minutes. I'll just, or sometimes you might go on a conference and the conference is more for your benefit than for the client's benefit. It could be for more business support or, business, something to enhance you or enhance the firm. So not everything is chargeable to the client. And so, for example, financial hygiene would be making sure that on your ledger, you only have billable time. And that billable time is what we're charging to the client. And when we're charging it to the client, being financial hygiene also means you're charging it in an appropriate way. So if you've done something for the client in 2014 and you haven't billed it to the client yet, is it a good practice to bill it in 2018? Maybe it's better for you to write it off, which is where I come in now and say, look, it's not the best thing for you to do for the client or for our firm to build something of that age now. Have a think about it. Is it viable for the business? Is it conducive for you to raise that point? If it's a high value and the firm is going to lose money, maybe you can have a conversation with the client about it first. And if they agree to that, they're happy to pay it, then fine, go ahead and bill it. But if you're going to bill it and the client's going to look at it and just decide never to pay it because they don't agree with the charge, it's going to sit on your ledger for another 4 years, and that then causes you to be unhygienic financially. So it's all these sort of things that I look into, whether you can bill something now, whether you should write it off, whether your phone call where you had to speak to the client for 30 minutes and then go and speak to your supervisor for 30 minutes, and then maybe your supervisor spoke to somebody else for 30 minutes and then you spoke to somebody else. Are you going to charge your client for the supervisory advice that you received, or are you going to charge the client for the work that you did for the client directly? Certain things like that. Some things come under client agreements, so the client might say, I will pay for all of the work or the tangible work that you give me, but I won't pay for any sort of things like photocopying. Then I look at your ledger and you've got photocopying charges. It's not billable to the client because the client's told you in their contract they're not going to pay for it, and you've agreed it, which means that is not being financially hygienic to have that on your ledger. So I would say write it off, it's not billable. Things like that. I've been working in this line of work for, I'd say, about 14 years now. I've worked for a number of international law firms. My first role in the law firm was actually in a national firm in Birmingham. I moved around a bit. So I left Nottingham, which is where I'm from, and I moved to go to university in Birmingham, and then I started off working for different companies, different organisations, and then I got a job in a law firm, a regional firm. And I loved it. It was different. I liked the way it was very corporate, and it was different to working in different environments, and I sort of liked the professionalism that it offered. So I worked there for a few years, and then I was offered a position in a very, very large international global firm in London, and that's when I moved to London to do this role. I started this role for maybe only for about a year, and I received an opportunity to go to Dubai, which was crazy. I didn't even know where Dubai was at the time. But I was like, I always wanted to do something international, so I had an offer, I took it. I had an agency called me and said we had an offer for a firm in Dubai, would you be interested? I said, let me see the job spec. They sent it to me, I said, I can do this in my sleep. And then I said, yeah. The next day I had an interview, and 4 weeks later I'd moved to Dubai. It was literally that quick and that simple, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I was there for seven and a half years. I worked for about 3 different international law firms out there, and I had a very high profile because what I do wasn't so big out there at the time. You have to sort of have a certain level of law firm to have a revenue controller or revenue department, and so I was quite new. So when I worked into different roles, I did do credit control as well, and because of my credit control experience and the WIP management experience, together that combined makes revenue control, and I was able to raise pretty high profile over there, and to get to positions points where firms were sort of poaching me from each other, and which was really good for my ego and very good for my CV as well. I spent 7.5 years out there, and then I returned back to the UK just under 2 years ago, and I moved back to Nottingham to spend some time with my family. I was away for a while, and then next minute I know I've got an offer in Manchester, and here I am. And I'm still loving it. I've been doing it for just under a year now. So I started in Manchester in September, and I'm still there. I passed my probation, which was great, and we're looking to build up the department. So that's another positive thing, positive step in the right direction. So yeah, that's basically what I do in a nutshell. I do some things outside of work as well. I'm interested in voluntary work. I'm at the moment trustee on 2 different voluntary boards, both to do with young people and different types of areas like youth education and entrepreneurship and mentoring, support, things like that. So that's something that's passionate to me, and that I'm passionate about. And so yeah, I do a lot of voluntary work, and that's how I mainly spend my time between my full-time employment and the charities that I work for or work with. I do a lot of work for them, so basically it's like having 2 or 3 full-time jobs. So I don't really get that much personal time, but the time that I do get, I spend it with the voluntary stuff, and that's how I enjoy. That means something to me. So Forena is awesome. I've been to one of the events before. I met so many good people, and I tell you what really works and what's important is to have a business network. And that's because it offers you so many other things. Yes, you might have your personal networks, but it's for something different. Networking and building a professional network offers things like support and guidance, and no matter how experienced you are in your field, you will always need guidance, even if it's just to get you from one stage to another, to rise, hierarchy, or to a different platform. You need guidance and support from your peers, and networking and building a strong network offers that. Another thing is, for example, basically you can be discovered by somebody in your network. You might you get opportunities because like me, sometimes it's not about what you know, sometimes it's about who you know. And by networking, you basically have an opportunity to meet all different types of people in different areas, and some of them are going to be to do with what you do, some of them are not, but each and every one of them can offer you an opportunity. And I've offered opportunities to other people in my network as well, where I've seen we might be looking for an IT technician, and I know that this person works in IT, who I met at this networking event, and that basically helps get on that platform. And then you then build your platform, your network, and then you offer that service or support or guidance to somebody else. So one thing that I think that I could not do without, and that's networking and building my professional network to a degree where it's not just about the firm that I work in or other law firms. It's people outside of law firms, people who do, clients, different clients, potential clients, things like that. People who can touch different areas of your life, and that's why I think it's important, and that's one thing that Forena definitely offers.